This is the Global News Rodeo with Arun Chaudhary and Forrest, Lovette.
Hi, my name is Arun Chaudhary, and welcome to the committee program. I am your host, and this is your Global News Rodeo. And I'm actually bringing it to you from the same hotel room in Lithuania that I brought you the Cooking with Comrades from last week, although I've been a couple places in between. But actually, the world has changed, even though my hotel room hasn't. And now, of course, we do find ourselves with a high-grade conflict going on between Russia and Ukraine. And on this first segment, your Global News Rodeo, Forrest Lovette has curated world events like he always does, but has actually put a couple different viewpoints on what's happening on the ground there. And I think that that's great because you need to read a really wide variety to even start to begin to understand what's going on, because lots of people have lots of vested interests in having you believe entrenched narratives. And it's possible, just possible, that almost every source that you're reading from, one could say both sides, but there are many sides, is not totally telling you the truth. Could be. Could be. Let's go. Item 1. When it all began, which was Thursday, February 24th, 2022 at 5:07 a.m. Politico Europe is reporting that there is an ongoing full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russian troops. At the current moment, major cities are under bombardment from the air, land, and from the sea, including the capital, Kiev. And I would also add, most notably, Kharkiv, which is the second biggest city and is, much closer to the Russian border, and Odessa, where my people are from, which is just on the Black Sea. Russian President Vladimir Putin gave a televised speech early Thursday morning launching the attack, saying Ukraine needed to undergo demilitarization and denazification. Minutes after the message, Russian tanks were seen crossing the border in Crimea and other locations. This action comes after Putin recognized the two separatist regions as independent and multiple failed attempts of diplomacy by Western leaders to stop it. That's in the Donbas region. European officials called on an emergency summit on Thursday evening and decided on a series of new sanctions to impose. They agreed on a massive sanctions and a block of finance, energy, and transport, but they decided against kicking Russia off of the SWIFT payment system, going against the wishes of Ukrainian President Zelensky. A top Zelensky aide told United News the sole goal of Russia is to enter Kiev and destroy the leadership of Kiev. Personally, Zelensky. It is sort of interesting, and I'm going to be editorializing a lot on this, but not with a strong point of view of what I want you to believe. But it is interesting that Zelensky was not, say, any kind of shady American clandestine efforts first choice to be the president of Ukraine. Item 2. An imperialist at heart, the West and Putin have much in common. Socialist workers reporting Vladimir Putin's latest declaration of war against Ukraine clearly shows his imperialist intentions. I think this word is maybe causing controversy of some people who would say imperialism has to have certain characteristics. Does this aggression have that? I think it sort of doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I think this is sort of parsing a false dichotomy as if we were still in some kind of ideological Cold War instead of just a naked power Cold War. Breaking away from any socialist tradition, Putin said in his address to the nation on Thursday that the Russian Revolution of 1917 was to blame for Russia's current state. He went on to say modern Ukraine was entirely and fully created by Russia, more specifically the Bolshevik Communist Russia. This process began practically immediately after the 1917 revolution, and moreover, Lenin and his associates did it in the sloppiest way in relation to Russia, by dividing, tearing from her own pieces of historical territory. I mean, this was a game, I think it's sort of blaming this on Lenin is a bit much. I think the Soviets played the same game a lot of Russians have with kind of these territories and keeping the empire together and moving populations. And, when we talk about Crimea, it's actually where Tartars are from. Everyone has not gotten to stay where they are. The border between Armenia and Azerbaijan was the result of lots of moving of populations around. This kind of imperial engineering is for sure not unique to Russia, for sure not unique to the Bolsheviks, and for sure not unique to Lenin. And so I think this is this kind of frame from Putin is interesting, right? Because it's both the de-Bolshevization of Russia and the denazification of Ukraine, sort of at the same time. It's a lot of D things. It's a lot of work being done there. Item 3. West versus East in the Global South, soldiers released in Central Africa. African News is reporting 4 captured French soldiers operating the Central Africa Republic have been released. The men were accused in social media of wanting to assassinate the head of state. The soldiers were of French, Italian, Romanian, and Bulgarian descent and working security for the UN peacekeeping force. The French government said this act was a gross manipulation and has accused the Central African Republic of being complicit in a campaign against France orchestrated by Moscow. Moscow, on the other hand, points its fingers at Paris for accusing the Wagner Group, a Russian military contractor in the region, for seizing resources and power. Item 4. A little goes a long way. France extends abortion limit. Euronews is reporting the French Parliament has voted to extend the deadline for abortions from 12 weeks to 14 weeks. This places France at the same limit as Austria and Spain, while in the UK it is 24 weeks. The French health minister was quoted saying the vote was a step towards greater pragmatism and equality, and continued, today is an important day for sexual and reproductive health and an important day for women's health. A motion to reject the bill by anti-abortion activists and the right-wing MPs was denied. According to the bill's supporter, each year 3,000 French women are forced to go abroad for abortions because they passed the legal time limit. I mean, that's good, because actually we've seen, when you're looking worldwide, reproductive rights are definitely sliding, and that's not just in America, but that is, of course, especially in America. And before we go, I would just say, if you have Repro dollars you are looking to donate, don't forget about Abortion Access Front, who actually make sure the money goes directly into supporting abortion care and into the independent health clinics that make it happen. Thank you.